Hey everybody, it's Friday. We made it to the end, sort of the end of the week. But we made it through another week and we're here for another Friday Fat Chat. I am Ivy Felicia, the founder of Fat Women of Color. And I'm happy to be here hosting Friday Fat Chat today. So first of all, if you're not familiar with Friday Fat Chat, if you're watching live, you're part of the show. So we want you to join in the show, be a part, drop your comments, drop your love, drop your questions, all of those good things. And the way that you can do that is by posting in the comments section. Whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can type into the stream and we can actually see what you're saying live. So that way you can join in and be a part of the show. Also, I wanted to let you all know that during the show, if you have any questions for us or for our featured guests, if you put them in the questions, we might not address them right away, but we'll absolutely talk about the questions towards the end of the segment. Okay. So I actually don't want to take up a lot more time today because I want to get in and share our featured guests. We've got lots of good stuff to talk about today. So without any further delay, let's welcome Laura.
Good morning, Ivy Felicia.
Hi. And for me, it's afternoon. You're in Cali, right?
Yes, yes. It is
Right.
10:06 a.m. right now in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles.
Awesome. So like you're just getting your day started. We're kind of
Yeah,
halfway through our day.
yeah, coffee time over here.
Nice. Well, I just want to say you're looking purely magical today. You're glowing. I love the yellow, and you've got good energy. So I'm looking forward to having this chat today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be asked to come on today.
So on Fat Woman of Color on the Instagram page, you've been engaging with our our Instagram account for some time. And I know we've reposted you a few times and I just saw your energy and I wanted to talk to you, get to know you more, hear more from you because I know you've been doing amazing things in the world and in the community. So what I like to do with our guests is sort of go to a blast to the past for a minute before we come up to the things to now. So for people who are watching, it just kind of puts it into perspective. Like, when did you start embracing the word fat?
Well, I think for me, as so many of us, well, I guess I'll just speak for myself. Growing up, it was such I had a nickname, Gorda, which is everybody in Latino culture, Mexican culture, you have a nickname, and it's usually about the thing that people think is wrong about you. So mine was like Gorda, which is fat. And I was like, well, I don't know if I like that. And, then kind of coming into my own, going through puberty, I was always the bigger friend, kind of like that whole funny fat friend thing. But then later, once I found the internet and I found Tumblr and I saw so many beautiful black and brown folks embracing their fatness, this is kind of like, I feel like LiveJournal was the start of the online fat community, and then Tumblr kind of took it over. And I feel like that when I started to see more queer fat folks, embracing and being, loving their bodies, loving themselves, their full selves, that's when I started embracing the term fat for my personal self. So like I would say like 2008, around that era. So yeah, and it's been a ride ever since. And I think that even taking it over, coming to Instagram and using hashtags, like when I found your guys' hashtag, I was like, wow, this is so great, because even though we're all so far apart, we can be in different countries, different continents, it's like that hashtag creates community. And the intentional use of the word fat, by using that as your hashtag, to me that's so powerful, and I just love it. That's why I use it in all my posts where I'm on there, because I think this is what we need.
Thank you so much for participate. Like you said, embracing the hashtag and for participating and listening to what you're saying. It sounds like you have sort of like a journey in the evolution with just getting into fat community and connecting with other fat people. When you were like in your youth, in your childhood, did you feel like you had community? Did you have support when it came to being a person of size?
No, absolutely not. I feel like everyone around me was thin. Um, the fat folks or people of size were always the butt of the joke, or we were always just looked upon as like the funny. It was kind of like we weren't taken seriously. So to me, finding online community, honestly, I always say that the Tumblr era um, saved my life, and saved my sanity and really helped with my self esteem and being just so comfortable in my own body because I absolutely didn't growing up have any kind of community around my body. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think I love that you talked about earlier and even talked about in your youth that how powerful community is for being a person of size. Because again, I think that people who live in privilege, whether it's because of your body size or, your gender, your race, whatever, I think those people who live in privilege don't realize that it's not quote unquote normal to have community when you're in a marginalized identity, right? And how alone you can feel, which is what you're kind of speaking to that you experienced.
Yes, and absolutely. I think ever since, the coming of the internet age, I mean, I talk a lot about this because this is where I found my safe spaces and my safe havens and the things that really I felt like changed my life as like a queer, fat, femme of color, right? Is like finding your people. Um, because sometimes those people are not readily available in person, right? So it's kind of like you want to be able to make that community online. And it's truly, I know people are like, oh, people like my mom, right? She's like, that internet thing, she's still old school. She has her little flip phone. So she doesn't understand the kind of the work that I do or um, the community building around it because it's like a generational thing. She's also like an immigrant from Mexico, so it's a whole different reality, right? And that's a privilege within itself, I think, for me. But it is life saving, and it has saved my life on many occasions.
Yeah, I know for me, like I felt like I found even before it was fat community, I just felt like I found connection on the internet when I'm 42. So it's like for me, it was in the I think I remember the internet kind of becoming a thing like late 90s. We just
Yeah,
started getting it. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm 43, and I remember the first AOL CD. Remember when you would get it in your house, and that was like at the end of high school. And for me, when I first started my journey online, was AOL chat rooms,
yes,
things like that. And so yeah, it's I like to talk about it because I think folks like you and I, we grew up without it, but
yes,
we are now, it is embedded in our lives. And, similar to myself, you also create community online and it is a big part of your life. So it's
yeah.
like we went from having like none of that community to now having these like beautiful flourishing communities online, so I think it's amazing.
Yeah, that is the beauty of experiencing both because it's like you had a whole part of your life where you didn't have it and now you have it. I know one of the things for me that I found because I was a person of size most of my life. So like I remember around 5, like on the playground, maybe even preschool was when I was getting teased for like, oh, your belly, and so just socializing with other people, it was always a challenge, right? When you're the fat kid, you just have a different experience in school. And so I didn't find the same connection and social engagement, I guess, IRL, was what it used to be called, right, in
Right.
person, that I found in online. So when online came, it was like, oh wow, there's all these other different kinds of people, and it gives you a chance to meet those people, online, talk to them, connect with them, and it broadens your opportunity to have a different social experience.
Yeah, and it's so niche, right? So it's like you could be like, I'm into red cars that have five wheels, and you're gonna find somebody else on the internet that is into that same thing, and having that connection uh, is just so special. And so many different parts of our lives, right? For us, it can be being fat folks, or folks of size. My queer, I found so many like queer amazing folks. And then there's, for me, I'm a leather dyke, so finding leather community online to me has also been life-saving, especially during COVID, when there's certain things obviously we weren't able to get together in person. So having a group chat of folks where you can talk about your experiences or our history as leather dykes has been really, within the last year, one of the most beautiful things that I've experienced.
Yeah, I think that, everyone who's alive right now has lived through COVID, unless you're watching this years from now. but, we lived through COVID, and I think that we realized then, like, just how important online connection
Right.
was for us, and this alignment of the timing of COVID happening, but we also have all these resources of ways to connect with our friends, our loved ones, and even people outside of our immediate community. And like you said, for a lot of us, that was a lifesaver mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, and I really feel like, well, especially for me, I have friends that are all over the place, right? Just as so many of us that are on the internet are, right? And I have a close friend who lives in Philadelphia. Her name is Heather. And during our time in COVID, we've had these like weekly where we watch just random like trash TV. And it has really brought our relationship closer. And maybe if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't have gotten as close, after she moved away from California. And so, I'm not saying COVID is a great thing, but I think that it allowed us to use our resources that we have in order to make our connections stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're tuning in live, this is Friday Fact Chat, and you absolutely can participate in the show, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. You can type into the comments. Into the social feed, and we can see what you're sharing. So absolutely, drop your hello, tell us where you're watching from, and if you have any feedback during the show, we'd love to hear from you. Like if you experienced COVID and found the internet to be connecting for you, go ahead and share that. If you have questions for us, you can drop that as well. Um, so, Laura, what made you? I know you said you sort of observed community online, um, starting with Tumblr, and then it kind of evolved for you. And then after a while, you actually got into the space of organizing online community. And so, what was it that inspired you to move into organizing?
Okay, I'm going to be really candid.
Sure.
um, I I started organizing with my friend Natasha, and we started organizing under the name Sappho's Return, and it was arts organizing for, at that time, queer women of color in Los Angeles area. And it was because I we were trying to find booths that were not just at the club, that were at the art shows, at the poetry readings and things like that. And then I don't know, it just seeing other organizers, going to other events, meeting really amazing people, it just kind of feeds the flame. So then it just kept growing and growing, and I just kept organizing and organizing in different spaces. So currently I am on the advisory board of Elder Queer, which is a space for queer folks over 40. But previously I was a co-founder of the LA Femmes of Color collective and on the board of Deck Day LA. So yeah, I've done a lot of different organizing and spaces, and I love it. I'm taking a little bit of a step back currently. I'm still on the board of LJ Queer, but as far as obviously because of COVID, we can't really be organizing in-person things. But because I just opened up my shop, my vintage resale shop, I've kind of taken a step back. And also just as I'm getting older, I'm noticing that for me, what's bringing value is actually having those one-on-one or small group connections with people, and that was feeding my spirit. Sometimes the organizing, when you do it in such a huge, such a bigger space, those one-on-one connections really just it's what's missing, and those are what, as I've gotten older, really mean a lot to me more.
What do you think is the difference for you between sort of when you were organizing maybe bigger events and busier events,
Yeah.
and now sort of moving into a space of smaller or more intimate experiences?
I think the connection, and I'm able to also receive. So when I'm with my friends in a smaller space, or one on one, I'm able to build a connection and be more focused and intentional. As I've gotten older, I really trying to focus more on creating a life full of ease. I heard that from Fran from the Friend Zone podcast, and that really stuck with me. And so I think that creating those one-on-one connections with folks is really important. And I think because of the internet, I really enjoy connecting one-on-one, through the DMs or on Twitter, one-on-one with folks of all, older, younger. Recently, Bianca Loriano tweeted about having youth mentors, and that really stuck with me. That's been with me for ever since she tweeted it. And I really think about the young folks, the younger than me folks in my life that really bring so much to me. So I think for me, it's really important to have people who are a little bit older than me as those type of mentors, life mentors, and also having folks that are a little bit younger than me as the youth mentors in my life. I think that gives my life a lot of variety.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm sitting here, I'm just like absorbing what you're saying, which I love these exchanges because when you talked about how having smaller, more intimate experiences that you get the chance to receive, and that totally resonated. Like as a person who organizes community, it can be so easy to be doing so many things, and especially if you're leading from a heart space, right? You see a
Yes.
lot of things in the world and you're like, I want to help, I want to address, I want to create something for that. And I learned that even in hosting events and things like that, I learned it's so easy to create, host, all of that, and then at the end realize that you didn't get to receive because you're curating.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. And I think it's important for anyone who's doing any sort of community work, activism, whatever, in order for it to be sustainable, we have to prioritize our self-care and make sure that we are also filling our cup back up and receiving. And we have a right to receive in the things that we create, in the spaces that we create, in the experiences that we create. Because if not, I don't know. I'll ask you. For me, I felt like if you create those spaces and you're just giving, you're not receiving, for me, it also feels a little inauthentic. And I feel like it's so much more authenticity if I'm saying, wait, let me create space for me to sit in this and be a part of this, not just organize it, right? Sort of like from the outside, but actually get into the circle. And like you were saying, receive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that because of capitalism, we are told to give, 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 give. And that's how
Mm,
we create value within ourselves. And so I'm trying to fight back against that. It's like, no, we don't need to, like you said, my cup doesn't need to be empty in order for my existence to be valuable, right? I am valuable whether I'm able to to give in that way or not. You know what I mean? Because I'm not, some people do have all the energy to do all the events and they feel full just by that energy. And I used to be that way. But now, I mean, I'm just, slowing things down, building that ease. And when I say receive, I also mean being open to receiving from the people in your life, right? It's like it's cool for me to have that day of rest for my own self, but like having a space where you have your friends and they, spoil you or pamper you or do, um, my friend Melissa Kigua, she introduced the term like romancing your friends to me. And I love that because that is also a way for you to care for yourself, is to receive that care and romance from the people that you're not necessarily in like sexual relationship with, right?
Yes. Well, can we dig into that a little bit about,
Sure.
because I love that concept and I feel like we don't talk about it enough, what it is to romance your platonic friends or to romance your friends, and to also have intimacy,
Yes.
which people automatically think that's sex. They're not one and the same. We can talk about
Right.
that too. But so when you say romance your friends or allow your friends to romance you, what does that mean for you? Like, let's kind of help the audience just think about what it could be like to romance your friends or to be romanced by your friends.
Yeah, I think, when you meet up with your friends and either you or they have like flowers for you, or they create a beautiful dip. I am not a cook, or I'm not that girl. But some of my friends are. And so being okay with being the like Tia who's sitting there with the glass of wine while somebody else is like serving you, and not, for in my culture, it's, as a woman and especially as the only child or the only woman, yeah, as a child, that is looked down upon. It's like you're supposed to be the one who's always serving this, serving that, serving this. And so allowing your friends to serve you, or to love on you, or to send you a card, or to call you, make sure you're okay, or say, you know can do you want to go on a walk, things like that. Those are the things that sometimes are seen as kind of like datey, or if you're like, oh, my friend cooked this like meal from scratch, or they created this beautiful charcuterie board, or made you cocktails or whatever. And being okay with receiving that, and being the person who's just there, taking that breath, and not having to be all the time, in service, allowing yourself to take that space, and for other people to support you. It's like mutual support, right? One day you're gonna do it, one day they're gonna do it, and it's not a tit for tat, but it's creating that space, those containers for yourself to be, taken care of. Because for so
Yeah.
often we take care of people, like for example, on my for myself, I take care of my mom in different ways, right? She's in Vegas, I'm in LA, but make sure that she's cool. And sometimes that's really stressful, especially as somebody who's, you know, not married, single income. Sometimes it's like a little bit stressful, but having friends who see and who understand that to me, it's priceless.
Yeah. I love that. And I love it. Like you brought up this conversation because I feel like, we've been duped by um media in Hollywood and Disney to, to think that those things only occur when someone is trying to connect with us in a way that would be partnership, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Romantic partnership.
Right. And I tell a certain set of friends, I always tell them, you guys are the reasons that my dating pool is so small, because they spoil me so much in many different ways, give me great advice, just sit there and listen. And it's like, when you have friends that do that for you, I feel like all my friends support me in that way. Then when someone comes around and they're not really, you don't fall for the okey doke
Yeah.
when you have friends around you that like date you. You know what I mean? For me, that's my experience. So I think that if you get yourself a good group of friends, You know, you don't have to see them every day, but who you have a great group chat. You know, they support you. They celebrate your wins. They support you when you're down. There's less of a need where you're so like you said, Disney has and the media has got us messed up where we everything has to be like this beautiful huge thing, and it's like, no, I just want someone who's like gone to therapy, done their work, is honest, things like that. And so yeah, that's my experience. So everyone get yourself a good group of friends is my
I love
advice.
that. We're redefining, right, in this conversation, what it can mean to experience friendship, and broadening it, right? Because so long it's been just like this really narrow concept. And especially for femmes, when we think of relationship, it's like, oh, you're only supposed to find that in a romantic partner, and they're supposed to do that to, get your attention or win you over. And then, if you get into a partnership, it kind of stops or whatever. But it's like a temporary thing.
Right.
But listening to what you're saying, I feel like it's redefining it, because we can think of it as a lifestyle, right? What I hear you saying is we're cultivating a lifestyle where we're always exchanging this with our friends and the people around us in a very natural, organic way. Like you said, not a tit for tat or like expectation or anybody wanting something from the other person, but just because you want to share love and show love.
Yeah, and it's like I just want to see my friends shine. I want to see my friends happy. I want to see all my friends win. Like I am in an abundance mentality. I think that there's enough for all of us, and I'm not about, you know, like while you can have the feelings of jealousy and things like that, I think it's, what do you do with those feelings instead of holding grudges or, feeling bad? It's like there's enough love, support, mutual care out there for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I love that you spoke to the abundance mentality, because I think that that also is important in being able to do these things, particularly if you're people who are on the fem spectrum, because society tries to pit us against each other and feel like, oh, like you said, it's competitive, or, envy and jealousy. But I think moving and flowing in abundance energy makes it much easier to have that loving relationship with a friend, because like you said, it's like when you win, I win. I just, I want to love on you, I'll receive love from you, and there's no competition here, because it's like I know that I'm going to have everything I need is going to be taken
Yes.
care of, so
Yes.
I don't have to worry about all the other stuff.
Yeah, and that, there's everyone has their lane. I know everyone talks about that all the time, but it's so true. Like everyone has the thing that they're about, and it's different from the other person. So I'm not really out here trying to compete with anybody but myself. Truly, to get to the next level, to be my next best self. So I don't believe in femme competition at all. Even maybe femmes that I don't talk to anymore or things like that. I wish everybody well, and I'm just, hope that everybody is living their best life.
Yeah. If you're watching live with us from YouTube or Facebook, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the show. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like to share, you can on YouTube, you can share it in the chat and we can see it live. We can see your comments. If you are watching on Facebook, same way, you can drop it in the comments or drop it in the chat and we can see it. So we have Dulce Garcia
Dulce!
that says,
Thank you, fam. I
um,
love you.
Laura Luna is so brilliant, and I'm so thankful for all the community spaces that she has created.
Yeah, Dulce is a fierce femme Chicana from Bay Area, actually from LA, currently residing in I have to give you your LA props, girl. Currently in the Bay Area, and she's doing some really amazing work. So I suggest everybody to follow her for sure. Yeah, and been in community with her for, God, it's gonna have to be like 20 years now, Dulce,
Oh
right?
wow,
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
fierce.
long term friendship.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what does it look like for you, even in talking about this friendship, what does it look like for you to not pour into, but I guess support and uplift other people who are doing work as well? Because I know we're talking about abundance. And this comes up in the community of what does it look like to be able to, hold space for other people who are doing the same things that you're doing, to show up for them, uplift them, promote them. And again, coming from that abundance mentality.
Yes, there's always going to be an audience for everybody. So if Dulce's having an event the same day that I am, there's going to be people that want to do the thing that she's doing, and some people that are going to want to be doing the things that I'm doing. It's not about poaching people. It's always, to me, if people follow me on Instagram, it's all of, I always promote folks' events, things like that. I feel like there's always a audience for different things, and I'm not, about the competition. And I truly want everybody to win. Like, really, in my heart of hearts, I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be successful, because we can. There's no reason for us not. This world is so abundant that there's no reason for us to have to be like the only this or the only that. If everyone, because you're different, for me, there's always going to be that small difference.
Yeah, that
So,
niche.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And one thing about it, when you're doing any sort of activism or community work that speaks to a need in the world, there's never going to be enough. So, and that's not from
No,
a poverty mindset, but what I'm trying to say is that we have such a big need, particularly as people of color, fat people. We're just starting to get into like really this fat work and fat liberation and all of that. I know it's been around for a long time, but we're really making momentum over the past, let's say, decade or so. And so I think that there's space for more people to do this kind of work, and the need is so great. I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, yeah, let's promote and uplift each other and amplify each other's work.
yeah, and if you think about it, especially as people of size, the numbers, I don't have the exact numbers, but there's a very high percentage of just people in the United States who are over a size 12, right? So that if there's so many millions and millions of people, someone's going to want to go to your thing and someone's going to want to go to my thing. And that's, there's not, you're not going to have an event where there's like, 5 million people at one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if we want to change the narrative, because we already know there's a mainstream narrative, right, which is the privileged people who have the power and the voice and the platform, and they're creating such a narrative, the one that we're all trying to divest from and unlearn and tell people that there's another way, there's another option. So the more voices that there are saying that and sharing that and promoting that, the better. Like, we need as many people as we can to help turn this thing around.
Right. And then there's things like, for example, I think you using fat as fat women of color, you know, that is a different audience than someone who's using just body positivity. And that's intentional. So that's going to draw a different niche of people to the work that you're doing, right?
Yeah. Uh-oh, we lost your sound. Okay, so while Laura, she's probably going to go out and come back in so we can get her sound. If you're watching, you can share your comments, your questions in the chat. Here we go. She popped right back on. Okay, test now. Okay. I was saying that you can share and be a part of the conversation by dropping in the chat. Hi, Christy. Miss K is watching from Nashville. We appreciate you showing up and being a part of the conversation and supporting Friday Fat Chat. Miss Christy is a regular for Friday Fat Chat, and we appreciate that. So yeah, if you have other questions or comments that you'd like to share. And while I'm waiting for Laura to come on, let me share with you all our sponsor for Friday Fat Chat, which is Calabash Tea. Calabash Tea is a Black-owned business in the Washington, D.C. area. And before COVID, D.C., you used to be able to go in there and get tea and tinctures and all kind of goodies. And the amazing thing about Calabash, if you ever get the chance to visit there in person, when you walk in, they ask you, how can we heal you today? And so when they make you tea, when they make you kombucha or coffee or whatever, it's coming from a space of uh, taking care of your needs, not just trying to sell you something. So it's a total vibe in Calabash. So if you don't get a chance to visit there, you can order from their website, and you can go to calabashtea.com. They are a sponsor of Fat Women of Color and of Friday Fat Chat. So they've given us a code that we can use, which is FWOC, which is for Fat Women of Color. If you use that code, you get a discount. And another amazing thing that we really appreciate is that they also donate a portion of your sale or your purchase towards Fat Women of Color in the Friday Fat Chat. So we really appreciate them for loving on us and supporting us. Okay, we got Laura back on. Let's see if we can hear you.
Hi.
Yay! I heard your
Sorry,
bracelets jingling before.
technical difficulties. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yes, Miss K, we'll make sure that you get that website for Calabash Tea in the comments so you can visit and support and enjoy all the goodness. So, Laura, one thing I did want to kind of talk to you about, because it's a passion of yours, is that you do work around I know you said you do community organization around queer elders.
Yes.
Um, can you share a little bit about that, what that's about, and what led you to that work?
Sure. I was asked to join the advisory board of Elder Queer last year, and I had just left the board of DLA, and this group is a little bit smaller, so the time commitment really worked with my life at the moment. And it's actually creating community and spaces virtually, and especially now with COVID, for queer folks across the spectrum over 40, because due to the AIDS crisis and the AIDS epidemic, we lost a huge part of our elders. And so even though 40 doesn't really seem like an elder age, when we think elder, we think like, 70, 80, things like that. But because we lost so many to that generation, um, community, queer community, the age, I'm seen as kind of like someone who's considered older, even though 40 is really like, for me, the beginning of my life, right? And so, but creating spaces, because it tends to skew a lot younger. So a lot of the programming and things that are available for queer folks tends to skew younger. So the folks who started Elder Queer really wanted to create an online space for folks who are queer, who are 40 and over. So we have a lot of different workshops. Every month is a different, theme. I recently curated Femme Month in March. So it was 4 weeks of programming around femme identity and creating space to celebrate the work of femmes in community, because so often our work is overlooked or is seen as something that has to happen, instead of celebrating it for the work that it is and celebrating our lives as queer femmes of all genders. So it was such a pleasure, and I received some great feedback from the folks who attended. So that was really wonderful. And
And if
folks
we
can
have,
join. Oh, I'm sorry. Folks can join Elder Queer if you want to follow them on Instagram. It's elder_queer, and elderqueer.org is the website.
that was going to be my question. We were in alignment. And
Yeah, we
then
were. Look at that.
Yesenia already has it typed in, so we're all on the same
Yes,
page
Senya,
here.
the best. Yes.
So if you want to follow Elder Queer, you can follow on Instagram, um, elder_queer, which you can, I'm trying to get, okay, right here. You can find that right here. And then you can go to elderqueer.org if you want to get more information about how you can participate or even support, right? So even if you're not participating.
Yes, yes. We do have a lot of support from the folks, queer folks who are younger. In fact, because we're kind of a small, still very grassroots space, we're not an official nonprofit. You know, we're very lean on our budget. So I thought about, because again, femmes, to me, queer femmes, those are my loves, my life. I do a lot of the work that I do is for them. And so I wanted to create for Femme Month. Wanted to be able to pay the presenters and the panelists for Femme Month more than what the budget allowed. So because it was during my birthday month, I actually crowdsourced and I said, hey, for my birthday, I'm very blessed. I have a day job and, you know, I have everything that I need. Of course, there's things that I want, but I have everything I need. So for my birthday, could you please help me raise money to pay these femmes? And we actually raised over $2,000. So it was so amazing to be able to pay femmes because usually we're asked to do work and it's always for free or like, can you volunteer? And well, there is space to do that. I think that for me, I want to celebrate femmes. And so it felt so good to be able to say our community crowdsourced these funds to be able to pay, you know, you. And so we were able to um, you know, split that up equitably. So what we meant by that was that Black femmes received the highest percentage, and then, you know, femmes of color, non-Black femmes of color, and then white femmes. So we were able to distribute those funds equitably.
Love that. Like,
Yeah, it
it's
felt
just
it,
like,
it
I
really
love
felt
it.
so good. It felt
Yes.
so good because it also spoke to the amazing folks that follow my work and that have been rocking with me for years, right? That they were able to trust me to say, I'm just going to give you this money. And it was literally from $1 to over $100. You know what I mean? And it was really beautiful. And honestly, one of the best birthday gifts I could have ever been given.
Love that. Miss K said that this is an excellent idea, and I agree. Like that's an awesome idea that we can replicate in our community spaces and those of us that do community work with femmes. You're absolutely speaking to my heart. Like it has been a prayer for me for so long, and those who work with me, those who like work intimately with me with Fat Women of Color, know that that's something that I talk about for forever, and over the years been working towards being able to do that. Because like you said, if you're a grassroots and you're a small organization, you're not working with a lot of money, so the people who are helping are just working from a heart space because they support the vision and they're,
Yes.
they want to see it go forth just like you do. But you also know that yes, we should pay femmes, period. Like that's part of the belief system. And so getting to the space where you can do that, I can only imagine how that feels, like you said, how that feels for you to be able to do that. And to crowdsource it is an awesome idea. So those
Yes.
who are watching, like if maybe that's something that you can do if you're kind of just starting out.
Yeah, and I mean, this is obviously years in the making. I didn't just pop up and say, "Hey, give me your money." You know what I mean? I've definitely, I haven't always been able to pay femmes. There's been
Yep.
femmes that have, you know, I've done fashion shows where like hair and makeup, you know, clothes, things like that have just been donated, and I'm so thankful, you know. But being in a space now because of the internet, receiving money from everywhere, literally, of folks that believe in femmes and believe in the work that I do and want to support and see us thrive. So, yeah, I don't want to misrepresent saying I'm always paying people because sometimes I don't have it, but I just took that space of like, oh, March, it's my birthday. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you set the intentions and you were able to manifest it. So that's
Yes.
always a beautiful thing.
I did use a success candle from House of Intuition the night before with my pyrite crystal, and I was like, let's get this money.
Makes notes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, because I like when you truly, it's different when you're just doing something,
Oh, yeah.
like historically when it comes to femmes of color, Black femmes that just sort of like get them to do things so that they can work for you, you can build something, you can make money, whatever. You just kind of use people. That's what capitalism teaches us. But
Right,
when you're creating something different and you're approaching it from a different perspective, you're keeping in your mind, how can I do this differently? Like, how can I honor the work of the people that I'm creating the work for, right? It doesn't
right.
make sense to create the work and not to honor the people that are helping you to do it. So I absolutely um, get what you're saying and your intentions there. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, you talked about elder queer. I know you also talk about dating
Oh,
and what it's like to
yes.
date.
My favorite topic.
Dating over 40. So I'd love to hear from you about your work around that and what that entails.
Yeah, when you say my work around that, it's so funny because I just usually just post random stuff on Twitter about my dating life, and so, but especially for me as somebody who's not social media partnered, and what I mean by that is like the folks that I date, I have a kind of a strict rule with myself that I don't post them. And I've had several kind of public facing, very social media heavy relationships, and I just realized over the time that that doesn't really work for me anymore. So now it's kind of something that's just personal with me, but I do often post on Twitter, just the things that are happening. I think it's really important to show um, queer femmes that are in my age range and also younger that you can live a full life without being attached to somebody, in a certain way. And I think especially for folks over 40, especially in queer community, a lot of people in my age range are already married, right, with kids, in monogamous relationships. And so I'm kind of like the fun Tia who's out here like doing it, dating, dating multiple people, having fun. And I think it's really important to show that, right? And to show the joy that we can find within ourselves, even over 40, because people think, oh my God, you turn 35 and you like turn into a toad. And it's like, no, I'm actually like having the healthiest relationships that I've had in my whole life, having the best sex I've had in my entire life, and just also, like I told you before, it's like really valuing every single relationship, including friendships that are, platonic, and building intimacy with that so that I don't feel like I'm lacking if I'm not actively dating somebody. Also, is really helpful to me that, you know, people I date are also busy. So it's not like I don't have time or space to be on the phone texting with you 24/7. I have a day job, I have the community work, now I have the shop, I have my friends. So I'm not that girl, and that's fine. It worked I've done it before. So I'm not going to say I haven't, but it doesn't work for me anymore. And so, it's just been such a journey. And I really, I really rock with the people who like just find the things that I say funny, or like who really just kind of like take note, and they'll send me notes like, thank you so much for talking about this. Nobody's really talking about this. It's either you post about being single or you post like 24/7 about your boo. It's like having folks in that middle space, I think, is really helpful for people. So yeah, that's kind of my ethos around dating. I'm having a really great time, and I feel really supported by the people around me, the people that I invite to actually be intimate with, and also my friends and family. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally countercultural because, like you said, again, going back to Disney and the media,
Yeah.
there's this whole thing of like, you need to have a lifelong partner by 30. If like you said, if not, then what's wrong, what's happening, and there's all this urgency and stress and anxiety around it. And then also there's so much people think that there's a validation, right, in
Right.
having a long-term partner, a committed partner, whatever. And so that's another reason why people are in like such a rush to get into a relationship,
Right.
or to prove you have one, post that you have one, whatever, because in some way it validates that you're worthy. I feel like, and I'd love to hear from you, I feel like
Mhm.
there's more pressure for fat folks to have a partner because it's already like, oh, you're not desirable. So
Yes.
if you have a partner, it's like, aha, but here's proof.
Right.
Someone
Right.
wants me.
Yes. And I think divesting from the proof is what's really giving me the freedom,
Mm,
because it's like if I divest from having to prove to people that don't have my best interest, the people that I love and that love me, they know, right? They know because I've told them or I've introduced them to people that I'm dating, but why divesting from the need to announce it, has really really helped me, because it's yeah, and for so many years I needed that validation, but it's really being internal, coming inside and realizing what is really important in your life. That is when you're like, oh, you really just have to think of, I'm not saying I'm looking down on the people who post their booze. I don't care. That's on you. You know what I mean? But for me, because I had to really think about, why am I posting all the time? Why am I talking about this 24/7? Why do I have to tag this person? Like, why? No, it's just like, I saw on the internet one time on Instagram, it's not a secret, but it ain't their business. And I love that. I love that. Always, I think about that all the time. But yeah, because at the end of the day, as fat femmes, especially, we're told we're not valuable unless we are attached to X, Y, and Z, you know? But really, truly coming inside and finding the value um, within yourself. And that, to me, that took decades. I'm gonna be honest, that took decades. That's a lot of work that you have to do to be able to divest from that. And it's similarly to loving yourself in the body that you're in. It's a practice. It's not a like, oh, one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm not posting anybody. I'm gonna, no. It's like a day-to-day thing of checking in with yourself, taking the time to slow down and be like, okay, what is this really about? What is this feeling really about? And do I go through with it?
yeah. I love that you shared that because I think that sometimes we don't consciously realize how we're subscribing to all these different social things, right? That are swirling around us, and we kind of
Yes.
get caught up in it, and we're a part of it, and we don't stop to think of the why. And when you're talking about desirability, I know for me, I'm married now. I got married at 40, which, that people thought that was like super wild. Like what? But before that, I didn't post my now husband until we got engaged. And we were dating for like years. But for me, it was like you said, this is my thing, this is our business. And I would see other people posting their partnerships or like you said, their bae or whatever. And you kind of feel that tug to be like, oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to post too, or like I got somebody too,
Right.
because it's like there's this thing where you feel like you have to prove that you're not
Right.
alone, or
Right.
but what I sat with was this is something that's sacred to me and I'm enjoying this over here, and I don't have to prove to anybody that I'm desirable or what, I don't have to prove to anyone that I'm lovable or worthy of love. And then it was like, okay, when we actually got engaged, and I posted it and I told him, I was like, I'm not posting it until we get
Okay.
engaged.
I know
Like
that's
that was
right.
my thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna give into this thing of like trying to have validation through a relationship. And again, disclaimer, this is not shaming or judging
Right.
anybody who chooses to do that. That's
Right.
anybody's choice.
Right.
If you do
Right.
that, if you don't do it, that's fine. What I'm saying, and I think this is what you're saying too, is just think of your why
Right.
behind the things that you're doing and think of the social messaging that is sometimes motivating you to do things.
Exactly. And I think it's also having the mentality of like, okay, you know, I might be alone, but I'm not lonely. First of all, I
Mm,
love my own company. I love my alone time, my me time. I love to read. I love to listen to podcasts. I love, you know, I just love being by myself or, being with my friends or, even if we're not there in person, they're only, the group chat is only one text away. So, I might be alone physically, but I rarely feel lonely. You know what I mean? So that also is another thing that I check myself on is like, am I alone? Am I lonely? What the why? Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to post this? Why do I always want to like, talk about all this stuff online? Because there's a lot of things in drafts that I'll be like, I want to tweet this, and then I'm like, why are you tweeting about this? This is none of your business, So yeah.
yeah. And I think it's important also to remember that partnership, marriage, whatever, however you term it, is not the destination. It's not the quote unquote accomplishment. So if you do end up being partnered or married or however you term it, the terminology that you use, that doesn't mean that now you stop romancing your friends and stop
Right.
connecting with
Right.
your friends and stop hanging out. Like it's important. I didn't realize that until I got on the other side of this, that people have this expectation of like you're just supposed to be all about your partner. You're not supposed to have like a life outside of that. It's like, I've arrived and that's it. Like, no, I still want to connect with my friends. I still want to love with my
Right.
friends. I want to kiki and like you said, be in the chat and whatever. It's like it's not the destination. It's not the accomplishment. So
Exactly.
don't stop having that intimacy with other people.
Right. Because at the end of the day, sometimes, and I've been in many relationships, sometimes those relationships don't work out. And who's the ones who are rocking with you? Your home,
Mm.
for me, my homegirls, the group chat, who's the ones that as soon as they, one of my last breakups, my best friend Alexa, I told her about it, and she literally sent me almost a whole Mexican restaurant through Postmates. I was like, okay, girl, I know food is like the way to my heart and very comforting, but you didn't have to send me like $200 worth of food. But thank you. You know what I mean? Or, things like that. Your friends are always going to be the ones who rock with you, who like are. So at the end of the day, you should be treating I guess I won't put this to everybody, but I try to treat my relationships all the same, whether we're having sex or not, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that because, and also it helps you to have a harmony. I want this to say balance, but so that you don't get wrapped up in just one relationship in your life. And also, it's rude as hell to just discard people because now you have a boo or a bae, and then you like if shit goes wild, then you want to like you want to call them back up and blend back in. Or even when that person just starts to get on your nerves,
Yeah.
then you want to reach out to your friends. No, it's actually I think it shows that you value just people when you can just keep that momentum going and continue to engage with people and connect with people.
Yeah, and that's definitely been a journey for me to get to where I'm at, and I'm looking forward to like learning more and you know being even better friend and lover and partner. Because I used to be that friend that it's like as soon as I got a relationship, peace out. I'm I'm with my boo all the time, but it's like that's actually what I learned is that that's actually not sustainable. And so I try to change my behavior, and like I said, look forward to learning more so that I can be a much better friend, lover, and partner going forward.
Thank you so much. This conversation has been awesome. Like, I feel like we can continue to talk about other things,
Yeah.
but it's Friday and it's the weekend. But I love this conversation and I would absolutely love to have you back. One conversation that I do want to have, I think when I was talking with who was I talking with? I can't remember. But we were talking about like having a fat aunties conversation because
Yes, I am 1,000. I will represent for the Mexican tias. I'm so here for that.
yes, because we were just talking about how in the fat liberation community, it's like a lot of younger
Yes.
people and like the older people like we kind of get pushed out, not intentionally, but
Yeah,
that
because everything skews so young, because of the
yes,
internet. So I mean, it's everything. Queer community, the internet, everything skews so young, and it's not like they're intentionally trying to push us away. It's just that's just how it happens.
yeah, yeah. So definitely we have to have a fat aunties conversation, and
I'm
we'll
here
have
for
you
it.
back for
I
that.
would absolutely love that.
Before we close out, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience, with the viewers? Anything you have going on that you want to promote?
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation. People can follow me on social media. I'm at Laura_Luna on mostly all the sites. I also have a vintage and contemporary resale shop on Instagram called Shop XO Laura Luna, and I do drops every 2 weeks. My next drop is going to be denim and leather. And I have one really amazing plus size vintage leather piece that I'm so excited to share with y'all. And then my website is www.xolauraluna.com. I love to connect with folks. And so if anybody wants to connect with me, you can find me on any of the sites. And I appreciate this conversation. It's been really amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And there's I'm always trying to find it. I'll get this eventually. It's like the opposite way. But there's Laura's website. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you go visit Instagram, Twitter, her personal pages as well as her shop pages and support. Get to know more about that. And I thank you so much for being here. So many gems. I can't wait to go back and watch this and pull them out and share them with people. So thank you so much. We appreciate you for being a guest and for sharing your energy, your wisdom, and your lived experiences with us.
Thank you so much. I look forward to coming back for the Fat Auntie chat. And I
Yes.
love the work you're doing. And I'm so thankful for the work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Right. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.